Hello everyone, I'm Megan Sullivan and welcome to my review for the PlayStation 5 version of the DioField Chronicle demo. So here's the thing, I really want to love this game. On paper, this real-time strategy RPG developed by Lancarsey and published by Square Enix sounds amazing. Think XCOM meets Triangle Strategy. And I have to say the combat mechanic in the DioField Chronicle shows real promise. But strange oversights with the UI, a sluggish first chapter, and a stack of recycled tropes and characters drag the game down, and it makes me wonder if it's worth investing in the full experience. If you've played Triangle Strategy, Fire Emblem, Tactics Ogre, Jeanne d'Arc, Final Fantasy XII, basically any other SJRPG, then you can already guess what the story is about. That's right, an evil empire is at war with a federation of allied nations. And of course, there's a small country, in this case the island of DioField, caught in the middle of the war. DioField itself has its own set of political problems, including a royal council split amongst rival factions, and a powerful church that may have its own agenda. Caught in the middle of all of that is a trio of mercenaries with insurmountable names who infiltrate a noble's personal army for their own mysterious reason. Although I assume that reason has something to do with the murder of their childhood friend, a royal prince that was next in line for the throne but was most likely assassinated in order to get him out of the way. I was hoping to learn more about this trio of fighters, but unfortunately the game is so busy trying to build a world of political intrigue that it forgets to establish why we should care about the people affected by it. What is at stake for Andreas, Frederick, and Isolaire, the so-called Blue Foxes? The only way to find out is by conversing with them at Elm Camp, the game's base of operations, and even then, there's not much in the way of interesting or enlightening dialogue, at least so far. We're only in the opening chapter of the game, so there's plenty of room for things to get spicy. By the way, Elm Camp is basically a poor man's Garrick Mock. It's here where you accept story missions and side quests, as well as spend points earned in combat in order to upgrade the facility and gain access to better armor, weapons, items, skills, and abilities. In short, if you've played an RPG before, this will all be very familiar, as are the occupants of Elm Camp, some of whom look like low-res knockoffs of Final Fantasy characters. Oh look, it's Vayne from Final Fantasy XII. Oh look, it's Jill from Final Fantasy XIII. Oh look, it's Joshua from Vagrant Story. Sorry, no, I mean Joshua from Final Fantasy XVI. Now, a lot of this can be explained by the fact that the game's artist actually worked on Final Fantasy XII and XIII, but it would be nice if the characters at least looked polished. The character models are super stiff and awkward, 3D environments are threadbare, the HUD is very basic, even the map is made up of icons instead of actual text, and the lighting is weird. Even when I fiddled around with the settings, it looked off. It's too bad because the 2D art for characters is quite lovely, and the voice acting and music are solid. Oh, and for those asking, yes, you can switch between English and Japanese voices. This game was clearly made on a bit of a budget, and it looks like the developer made the conscious decision to spend money on something more important than the graphics. Luckily, that something just happens to be the ultra-fun, real-time tactical battle mechanic. So here's how it works. The action plays out on an isometric field. There, your merry band of mercenaries take on waves of enemies just like in XCOM, but in real time and with less ducking behind crates. You can only take 4 allies into battle, but the good news is that like in Fire Emblem, you can attach an adjutant to one of your units whose abilities can be accessed alongside the abilities of the character they're attached to. Once you sit through a series of partially skippable cutscenes and decide who to send to the front lines via a handy ring menu that lets you do some last-minute tweaking to your party, the action begins. Again, like in XCOM, battle units can be placed in different strategic positions, and what I like is that you can map out waypoints to help guide your allies around unsuspecting enemies in order to ambush them from behind or catch them in a pincer. Once combat is initiated, all units on the battlefield begin auto-attacking each other, and from then on, your job as Field Marshal is to pause the action long enough to reposition your characters, access their unique abilities, or perform a summoning action, which will do heavy damage and is great for finishing off large groups of soldiers and zombies. You guys, I gotta tell ya, coordinating attacks and watching enemies get decimated in real time is immensely satisfying. Seriously, it is so fun using Waldequin's Meteor spell to rain down fiery terror on her opponents, while using Andreas' assassination skill to set up a devastating chain attack, Or better yet, having Iscarion use his far-reaching arrows to hit a barrel of explosives and blast enemies to smithereens. There are 4 basic unit types that determine a character's fighting style: Soldier, Cavalier, Sharpshooter, and Magicka, and all 4 types feel well balanced. Although I can't help but notice the skill sets for each unit are rather similar to the ones in Triangle Strategy. Like, Frederick's full frontal assault is almost the exact same thing as Roland's rush skill, and Waltequin's blend of fire and healing magic mirrors the fire and healing abilities of Frederica. It's a bit of a bummer that instead of showing off some of the more unique skills this game has to offer, you can see those abilities locked away in the skill tree. The game starts off with skills that feel copy-pasted from other games. But hey, you know what? It's a minor thing because it's still fun, and I enjoy the individual combat animations that play out whenever you use a special ability. Overall, the battle system is good stuff. With that said, there is a lot of micromanaging in combat, which can be exhilarating as the action is fast and furious, but due to some strange oversights with the UI, it can also be a bit annoying. For example, there's no indicator that lets you know a character is out of combat range and is standing around picking their nose while awaiting orders. And it's hard to tell what's going on when units are fighting in tight quarters. Luckily, you can stop and use the very tractable camera to do a quick 360 of the battlefield, which allows you to better assess the situation, and if things get too chaotic, you can always hit the L2 button and have your mercenaries regroup at a specified destination, although it would be nice if the game's clumsy tutorial made that a bit clearer. But there's a more problematic design flaw here. Although you can pause and order the group to move together all at once, you can't pause and order them to move individually all at once. Not only is that inefficient, but it makes it harder to get units out of the way of an enemy's AoE attack. This becomes a real issue towards the end of the demo, when the difficulty noticeably spikes and multiple enemies are casting multiple area of effect spells at the same time. Ah well, at least my team has some pretty cool abilities of their own, and if the skill trees for various job classes are any indication, they'll get even better abilities in the future. As much as I enjoy the combat though, I'm still not 100% convinced I want to invest dozens and dozens of hours into the full game. There's so much recycled material here. The characters aren't very interesting, the visuals look unpolished, and I worry that some of the UI issues will cause needless frustration during endgame missions. But the DioField Chronicle also shows a lot of promise with its real-time tactical battle system, so it's not completely off my radar. If the reviews are super positive, I may be chronicling a very different and more positive opinion. Did that even make any sense? What do you think of the demo? Let me know in the comments below, and if you've liked this video, please make sure to like and subscribe so we can talk all about JRPG goodness in the future. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. See you later!